Surprise, surprise, surprise.
So a lot of people don't know that a lot of slaves were owned by presidents. And about 1/4 of our presidents have owned slaves, dating as far back as to George Washington, obviously, and all the way up to around Abraham Lincoln.
Target haul. Look at what I got.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment. Now come on now.
Hello, my rays of light, and welcome to Raymond's Room. Thank you so much for tuning in and being my roomie here at Raymond's Room. First and foremost, I want to thank all of my subscribers that have still stayed with me. I know it's been a while since I've made some content, and I want to just show you my gratitude and how grateful and thankful I am for you all that have stood by me and stayed, subscribed. A lot has gone on and has still been going on and still is going on, actually. And it's been almost a year. I'm back with a new show, Raymond's Room, a space, not a safe space. I want to make that clear. A space to live, learn, laugh, and love. Now, I say that because I report, recall, and review the news with all ruckus intent. I want to make sure that we're living, we're learning, we're laughing, and we're showing love. As an intellectual facilitator, as I have stated, I want to be a leading source of knowledge, wisdom, and news, and helping all of you, my rays of light, to decipher and discern misinformation, disinformation with what's really out there and what's really going on. Check everything, scrutinize everything and everyone. Always do your research. I encourage you to always look things up for yourself. Always your critical thinking. And that's really what this show is about. We'll start out with living. We have to live. My mom says all the time to me, life goes on. And we have to live. And by living, I mean setting goals, setting deadlines for those goals and accomplishing them, and staying optimistic and staying ambitious. A lot of people are going through life and they're not living. Actually, they're existing. And they go their whole lives existing and not living. So I want to make it a point to encourage all of my rays of light to live and to shine bright. Second is learn. We have to stay in the know. We have to stay informed. We have to stay aware. And we have to stay conscious of all of those things, especially in this climate right now. We have to make sure that we're in the know. Knowledge is power, but that power is not accessible unless we do something with the information that we've obtained and make positive choices and moving in a progressive, positive direction. Learning is and has actually become one of my most passionate things. You can learn something from anybody, even people that you don't like. You can learn something from your boss, what to do, what not to do. You can learn from your professors, your mentors. Anything and everyone can be a learning experience. Relationships, for that matter, can be a learning experience. We're meant to grow. We're meant to learn and go through things in order to get better, to evolve into our best selves. And I want to encourage that for you, my rays of light, and for myself as well. I feel like the best way that you can lead is by example. I put laughter in there, pardon me, because laughter is an instant vacation. With the climate going on right now, we need to be able to have fun, laugh instead of crying, laugh instead of cringing, laugh to get on that instant vacation, to take us away from any hardships at the moment. Not saying that we should forget those hardships and those struggles and challenges, but we should always make time to laugh and have fun in our lives and be able to experience that joy in laughter. And lastly is love. All we need, as the song says, is love. And love is the most powerful energy, the most powerful frequency, because we're all energies, we're all frequencies. And love is really all we need. That's also tied into my YouTube name and a lot of my social media screen names. And that's EB Loves Raymond, which stands for Everybody Loves Raymond. Some people may be aware or may not be aware. When I was very, very young, it was a show called Everyone Loves Raymond. My name just so happens to be Raymond. So I'm feeling that I should usher that love energy in, that frequency in. Because at the end of the day, like the song says, all we need is love. So I want to welcome you here to Raymond's Room, where we live, learn, laugh, and love. And today's headline, or today's title of the show today, is The Dark Truth Behind President's Day. A lot of people don't know that there's a dark truth behind President's Day. There's a lot of dark truths, but I am on the verge of discovering all of these different dark truths, because a lot of our history has been whitewashed and rewritten, and a lot of it has not been brought to the surface, and a lot of these secrets have been kept under wraps. So a lot of people don't know that a lot of slaves were owned by presidents, and about 1/4 of our presidents have owned slaves, dating as far back as to George Washington, obviously, and all the way up to around Abraham Lincoln, maybe even some after. We never know, because we're always uncovering and finding out new information and new things. And we should continue to do that. There's also been 2 prime characters that people don't know about as far as Black history is concerned. And that's Onee Marie Judge and Paul Jennings. And in this episode of my show, The Dark Truths of President's Day, we'll be revealing those truths and really enlightening you, as I've been enlightened, to find out all of these things that will probably remain untold.
Missing from President's Day, The People They Enslaved. February 12, 2014 by Clarence Lou Sane. Schools across the country are adorned with posters of the U.S. presidents and the years they served in office. U.S. history textbooks describe the accomplishments and challenges of the major presidential administrations. George Washington had the Revolutionary War, Abraham Lincoln the Civil War, Teddy Roosevelt the Spanish-American War, and so on. Children's books put students on a first-name basis with the presidents, engaging readers with stories of their dogs in the Rose Garden or childhood escapades. Washington, D.C. Smithsonian Institution welcomes visitors to an exhibit of the First Lady's gowns and White House furnishings. Nowhere in all this information is there any mention of the fact that more than 1 in 4 U.S. presidents were involved in human trafficking and slavery. These presidents bought, sold, and bred enslaved people for profit. Of the 12 presidents who were enslavers, more than half kept people in bondage at the White House. For this reason, there is little doubt that the first person of African descent to enter the White House, or the presidential homes used in New York, 1788 to 90, and Philadelphia, 1790 to 1800, before construction of the White House was complete, was an enslaved person. The White House itself, the home of presidents and quintessential symbol of the U.S. presidency, was built with slave labor, just like most other major building projects had been in the 18th century United States, including many of our most famous buildings like Philadelphia's Independence Hall, Boston's Faneuil Hall, Thomas Jefferson's Monticello, and James Madison's Montpelier. President Washington initially wanted to hire foreign labor to build the White House, But when he realized how costly it would be to pay people fairly, he resorted to slave labor. Constructed in part by black slave labor, the home and office of the President of the United States has embodied different principles for different people. For whites, whose social privileges and political rights have been protected by the laws of the land, the White House has symbolized the power of freedom and democracy over monarchy. For blacks, whose history is rooted in slavery and the struggle against white domination, the symbolic power of the White House has shifted along with each president's relation to black citizenship. For many whites and people of color, the White House has symbolized the supremacy of white people both domestically and internationally. U.S. nativists with colonizing and imperialist aspirations understood the symbolism of the White House as a projection of that supremacy on a global scale. This idea is embodied in the building project itself. Although the White House is symbolically significant, there is a largely hidden and silenced black history of the U.S. presidency. Here are just a few examples. George Washington's stated anti-slavery convictions misaligned with his actual political behavior. While professing to abhor slavery and hope for its eventual demise, as President, Washington took no real steps in that direction, and in fact did everything he could to ensure that not one of the more than 300 people he owned could secure their freedom. During the 10 years of construction of the White House, George Washington spent time in Philadelphia, where a law called the Gradual Abolition Act passed in 1780. It stated that any slaves brought into the state were eligible to apply for their freedom if they were there for longer than 6 months. To get around the law, Washington rotated the people working for him in bondage so that they were there for less than 6 months each. Despite Washington's reluctance to carry out his stated anti-slavery predilections, the movement against slavery grew anyway, including within the president's very own household among the men and women he enslaved. One of the presidential slaves was Oni Maria Judge. In March 1796, the year before Washington's second term in office ended, Oni was told that she would be given to Martha, Washington's granddaughter, as a wedding present. Oni carefully planned her escape and slipped out of the Washingtons' home in Philadelphia while the Washingtons were eating dinner. Oni Judge fled the most powerful man in the United States, defied his attempts to trick her back into slavery, and lived out a better life. After her successful attempt became widely known, she was a celebrity of sorts. Her escape from the Washingtons fascinated journalists, writers, and others, but more important, it was an inspiration to the abolition movement and other African Americans who were being enslaved by whites. By the age of 10, Paul Jennings was enslaved at the White House as a footman for James Madison, the fourth president of the United States. When he got older, Dolly Madison hired out Jennings, keeping every last red cent of his earnings. Dolly indicated in her will that she would give Jennings his freedom, but instead sold him before she died. Thankfully, Daniel Webster intervened and purchased his freedom. Soon after, Paul Jennings helped plan one of the most ambitious and daring efforts to liberate enslaved blacks in U.S. history, the Pearl Affair. It was not successful, but as with John Brown's raid, the political repercussions lasted for decades and strengthened the abolitionist cause. Paul Jennings went on to become the first person to write a memoir of a first-hand experience working in the White House. In textbooks and popular history, the White House is figuratively constructed as a repository of democratic aspirations, high principles, and ethical values. For many Americans, it is subversive to criticize the nation's founders, the founding documents, the presidency, the president's house, and other institutions that have come to symbolize the official story of the United States. It may be uncomfortable to give up long-held and even meaningful beliefs that in many ways build both collective and personal identities. However, erasing enslaved African Americans from the White House and the presidency presents a false portrait of our country's history. If young people and all the rest of us are to understand a fuller, people's history of the United States, they need to recognize that every aspect of early America was built on slavery.
So I just left Target, not because I just bought something, but because I had to poop, and I felt like this was the perfect place to let that stress go.
So what did you think that article from Zen Project about Black history, people's history, mainly Black history, is really enlightening. I didn't know anything about presidents owning slaves. I didn't know anything about One or Nee, Marie Judge, or Paul Jennings. I had no idea of any of these stories, and this article was written over 10 years ago. It's unfortunate that our education system here in America, as far as history is concerned, mainly is really, really untold stories, and a lot of stories that have not been brought to the surface, a lot of stories that have not been recognized, a lot of people that have not been recognized, and dates erased that really make up our history. And I think it's important to recognize that our city, our government, our state, and our nation is fueled by systematic racism and has been built on the backs of Black Americans. The headlines and the reports that showcase this are astounding. I think and feel like history is one of the most underrated subjects in our school system. They promote STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, more so than anything, and those are the forefront. But history should also be in the forefront because a lot of history is untold. A lot of stories have not been told, especially those stories of African American and Black Americans and Indigenous Native Americans here in America. It's been more indoctrination, rather than education. They wrote for One Marie Judge in efforts to try to get her back and in efforts to try to pay as a reward if anyone could give them information on her whereabouts. It's been quite 2 months. It's almost been 2 months. Here in March 20th, it'll make it 2 months since Orange has been in the office, or Orange has been in the Oval, rather. And just to break down what's transpired in the last month, I'll do an update March 20th to show you what's been going on in the second month. But it's just been a downward spiral ever since January 20th. Take a look.
1/0 Trump guts the FA-122 Trump disband the Aviation Security Advisory Committee, declares he has ended DEI and restored excellence and safety in air travel. January 23rd plane crashes in Columbia, California. January 29th first commercial plane crash in 16 years over Washington, D.C. 67 people die. January 31st plane crashes in Philadelphia. 2-1 plane crashes near Ennis, Texas. February 5th Japan Airlines plane strikes Delta flight on runway in Seattle. February 5th plane crashes in Arkansas. February 6th Bering Air flight disappears over Alaska with 10 people on board, later found dead. February 10th plane crashes in Scottsdale, Arizona. February 12th military fighter jet crashes into San Diego Bay. February 15th Trump fires hundreds of FAA employees. February 15th plane crashes in Flagler County, Florida. February 15th plane crashes in Covington, Georgia. February 16th 2 planes crash in Texas. February 17th plane deporting from Minnesota crashes in Toronto. February 19th plane crashes in Marana, Arizona.
I'm always reading a book, and sometimes 1-2 books at a time. And it's really important, I think, to get back into reading and to get us as a culture, Black culture, back into reading, especially about our history, about ourselves, and about, where we come from. I also think that recommending a book to a friend or family or being in a book club is very good for the soul, very good for the intellect, and very good to just basically be exposed to new and different things. This book right here, The Black Pioneers of Science and Invention, is a really, 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 really great book. And I'll be going through this. I'm giving all my Rays of Light a chance to cop this book either online or in a store near you. And each week I'll be going through one scientist and one inventor. If you want to check this book out, get this book. This is a great book. And this is what Raymond reads today and for probably the next week until I introduce another book. Each week and each month, basically. Sometimes I might introduce more than one, but I'm giving you guys a chance to get this book. Again, it's Black Pioneers, Scientists, and Inventors. Great book. And it tells a lot about our history and our brilliance. And also it tells a lot about how, which is the story of America, how a lot of their ideas and their work was taken by white people and people of that time, and they were not given credit for it. So this is a great book, an eye-opening book, and I recommend that you get it for Raymond Reads. Be prepared next week as I will go through one scientist and one inventor. Okay, my Rays of Light, we're in Reading Raymond. And this is a segment of the show where we do have a little fun, but we still keep it real because I am a real one. And I want to show you this clip of what's been going on here in society or in regular news, not in headlines or in politics. But I want to show you something that I feel we all need to address. And it's a bigger picture, it's a bigger story that this encompasses or that this involves, a bigger picture. And people aren't really paying attention to it. So check this video out and I'll be back with more recalls, reports, and reviews with ruckus intent indeed. Check this out. Well, as you saw from that video, that clip, no one's blind. We can all see what went on there. But what actually transpires after is what everybody's been talking about. Everybody has been really blown away at the response from both parties.
Everybody has feelings. So you're physically hurt, but you're not thinking of my mental, right? They're going off of one angle. A couple times hitting her, my baton got stuck behind her back like this, and it rolled up her back. I lost my balance, and when I pumped my arms again, she got hit. I know my intentions, and I would never hit somebody on purpose. They're assuming my character, calling me ghetto, racist slurs, death threats, all of this just because of a 9-second video.
So my rays of light, what do you think of this video? A lot has been going on about this video. I personally think you had every intention on hitting her with all ruckus intent, as I would say, honestly. I've ran track and field before, and I've also ran relay races. And you run like this. Some people do run like this. If you running like this and you hit somebody, there's no excuse for that. We all can see. We all can see what you did. That's one of the earlier videos of right after the incident happened. And she's conducting interviews now, and she's playing the victim. Yeah, you're physically hurt, but you're not thinking about my mental. Should we be thinking about your mental? Are you disturbed? Your intrusive thoughts? Your non-sportsmanship is what actually came out in your anger, in your behavior, and frustration at the time. You felt you were being passed. You felt you were about to lose. You felt she was on you, gaining you, hawking you down, whatever they want to say. And you decided to attack her. No one runs with a baton like this. No one runs with a baton like that. That's not how you run in track and field. But if it's attack and field, then that's what you would do. No one runs like that. You're running like that when you're trying to hit somebody. Like you got a knife in your hand, you Freddy or Michael Myers or something, I don't know. But for her to be getting all of these comments of anger and frustration, she needs to own it. She needs to take responsibility for her actions. And this video right here is why I'm actually posting this, because it's a bigger picture behind this. This next generation, the parents and the kids that they're raising, they are not raising them with any accountability, with any respect, with any ownership of your own actions. You can only control yourself. You can't control anybody else. And the fact that you would hit somebody in the head with a baton, cause them to have a concussion, and possibly, a hairline fracture in their skull is absolutely unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. Charges should be filed, and it looks like they are being filed, which I am so happy that they are, because she needs to learn from this experience. It's very telling that her upbringing hasn't taught her that yet. But in this next video, you'll see why. Because there's a such thing as gaslighting and green lighting. And what they're doing to this girl right now is not healthy for her, as she said, her mental state. She may need a mental evaluation, because this is how sociopaths are bred. Psychopaths are born, but sociopaths are bred. And they're bred when people come together to do just this. Take a look.
We stand with you. That's why we're here. We stand with you. We support you.
Thank y'all for supporting me. Because nobody else wanted to hear my story except for people that know me and people that know I would never do anything like that. I would never harm anybody. I'm not a fighter. I'm not even confrontational. I wouldn't even do that on purpose. And I thank y'all for believing in me, and I love y'all.
The gaslighting in this video is just disgusting. Everyone there is disgusting and deplorable. The fact that you're enabling her, green lighting this behavior, and trying to gaslight us. I would never hurt anybody. These are crocodile tears. In the first video, it looked like it was one of them cheap tears that back in the day, that you can just peel off like a little sticker. She's forcing herself to cry. And then when that first little, it seemed like she was kind of laughing. But I mean, I don't know. I see things differently. As a therapist, I look at people and observe their body language, as well as their tone of voice and how they speak. And deep down in her heart and in her mind, as well as her parents and her supporters, they know that she's wrong. They know that we can see the video. we not blind. We saw exactly what you did. And the fact that you're not trying to own it, and on top of that, to add insult to injury, you have people there to support you and not owning it, not apologizing, not accepting your own behavior, not taking responsibility for it, is disgusting, deplorable. Those people should be ashamed of themselves. She's a child. Yes, she is. She's an adolescent. And her brain is still formulating and developing till about the age of 24, 25. But that's still no excuse. As I said before, each opportunity, each event, each situation, anything and everything is an opportunity to learn, to grow. And when you do this to a young girl like this, she now believes that she can do whatever she wants to do and be supported and not apologize and not take accountability. And we are raising an aimless society. Our culture is really, really messed up. Our communities are really messed up. We are not the black people of the civil rights movement, of the Black Panther movement. We are not those people anymore, unfortunately. Those were my parents and grandparents, and they're old now. Us millennials, us Gen Zs, the rest of us have to really pick up where they left off. And we haven't picked up where they left off. We haven't even picked up, let alone where they left off. And we haven't done anything to further our communities, to better our communities, and to better our generations that come up behind us. I think with the gaslighting going on, the green lighting of enabling, I think it's very sad. I think it shows a picture of a young girl who, because of her supporters, she may be conflicted or ambiguous in her mind about what's going on. But when you have people that are saying, oh, we behind you, we support you, then you go along with it. Because now she don't want to let those people that are supporting her down. When in fact, her parents should be the ones to let her know that you were wrong. And you need to not just apologize, but you need to take accountability and own the fact that you broke down in that moment. You're not a fighter, but you became a fighter. Or you became a person that was violent. And if we're not addressing this now when she's young, as she gets older, that psychopathic tendency, that psychopathy will continue, and she won't take accountability for anything. She'll crocodile tears, she'll cry crocodile tears and play fake and phony and like she's the victim. How are you the victim and you caused an injury to someone else? That's the gaslighting. The green lighting is that they're supporting it, letting her know it's okay. But the truth is, it's not okay. She needs to be read her Mirandas, and she needs to be charged fully. Tell me what you guys think about this, because I think this case is just deplorable and disgusting. And the fact that it's my people in my community and that it's also black women is another issue that needs to be addressed. Very, 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 very disgraceful, in my opinion. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this pans out. And I'll be following this story because she really needs to be taken to court and she really needs to be charged. And hopefully she learns a lesson, but by her upbringing and by the people around her, I doubt it. I doubt it. And that's sad to say that because we all need to grow. And in this instance and in this situation, she's not taking the opportunity to grow and learn about herself and to really apologize, because that girl deserves an apology. And so does her family, because that's traumatizing.
today that a well-educated black person, male or female, has a tremendous advantage over a well-educated white person. And I felt that for a long time. And I hope that anybody in the audience that's black and is watching can hear me say this. And I'm talking now as a person that employs thousands and thousands of people. A well-educated black has a tremendous advantage over a well-educated white in terms of the job market. And I think sometimes a black may think that they don't really have the advantage or this or that, but in actuality, today, currently, it's a great, I've said on occasion, even about myself, if I was starting off today, I would love to be a well-educated black because I really believe they do have an actual advantage today.
There you saw a very, very, very young Donald Trump, the orange and oval in rare form, and speaking really the truth that all white men think, and possibly white women as well, but definitely white men think. And it's not the fact that they think of us as thugs. They know that we're brilliant. They know that we come from brilliance. They know that we come from excellence. They know that we have a standard and high principles and high values. They know this, and they've known this for centuries, and centuries more, years back, dating back in the colonial times and the 1600s and 1700s. They knew this then, back when the Moors came to visit them and help them learn how to clean themselves and sanitize themselves and create better hygiene for themselves. They knew that when they went around the whole world trying to colonize certain areas and being successful in doing so, that they were the actual minority when it came to every person living on this globe and in this world called Earth. There are more people with color than there are without. And they learned that very, 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 very soon, because everywhere they went to colonize was a land that had people that were darker than them and that had color. They've never been afraid of us being thugs. They've also been afraid of us thinking that we would do the same things to them they did to us, but they're even more afraid of, or just as afraid of, I should say, of the fact that we surpass them because we're superior, not just physically, but mentally. And that's why they wanted us to be isolated, alienated. That's why they didn't want us to learn how to read or just learn, period. Because they knew our capacity and our capability would surpass them. And this is just a record showing that. He still feels this way, even though this is years ago. Orange in the Oval still feels this way. And he's not alone. But check this video out, because I think if we believe in ourselves more and in our communities more, and we uplift each other more, and we come together instead of being divided, and really see the bigger picture as a community as a whole, we'd be able to do great things. Take a look at this video. It inspires me.
You all have purpose. Football's the platform for your real purpose. You all have potential. The cemeteries are filled with people that never lived up to their potential. You must get everything you can out of your body, your mind, and your spirit. And understand, now you're young, you're in college, so I ain't gonna tell y'all not to go have a beverage or whatever. But the day you waste is the day another person's one step ahead of you. Every day.
That's right.
Every day.
Oh, no, that is. The great Denzel Washington, he's always had some really great words of encouragement, wisdom, and inspiration. And this is nothing short of that. Do just what he says, or get inspired to act and get in movement, because a body in motion stays in motion. And he's not lying when he says each day that you waste, someone else is getting ahead on you. Someone else is progressing more, learning more, achieving more, becoming more. And you don't want to waste time, because if you love life, that's what life is made up of, is time. And in review for Raymond's Room, taking all of this into account, that presidents have owned slaves, that Black Americans have built the early infrastructure of this country we now know as the United States of America, that we need to read up on our Black history, our Black inventors, our Black scientists that have contributed to this country. This country would not be what it is without the contributions of Black America. Simple as that. And every American needs to know that. Every immigrant needs to know that. And we ourselves as Black people need to own it, know that, and understand that we have purpose, and we always have. We are a great people. And with the Orange and Oval now, and all the things that he's been implementing and trying to implement, in just this first month, we're almost near the second month. This is the time to be vigilant. This is the time to stay in the know, stay in awareness, but don't get overwhelmed by it. Don't inundate yourself, because it can be very stressful, and stress can cause a lot of issues with you physically and mentally. So take that time out to laugh, have a little fun, enjoy yourself. Don't take yourself too seriously, but take these situations and these politics and everything that's going on in this climate seriously. Because at the end of the day, all we need is love. And I'd like to tell all of my rays of light to continue to shine bright. Don't ever let anyone dim your light. And Raymond's Room, until then, I wish you all peace, love, and blessings. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.